Crowd gathered outside the Bangor Federal Building today amid the rain in protest against the Trump administration. This demonstration, organized by Indivisible Bangor, described itself as a non-violent protest with the goal of promoting Maine's congressional delegation to take stronger action. Several prominent community members spoke out in service of that goal. These speakers included Bangor City Council Chair Cara Pelletier, State Representative Sean Faircloth, and Wabanaki Two-Spirit Alliance Secretary Adrian Sokolexis, among others. Topics discussed at the event included resistance against intimidation, advocating for due process, and preserving the ideals of the Constitution. One speaker, Reverend Dr. Malcolm Himshoot of the Church of Universal Fellowship, spoke to us about how his faith relates to the demonstration.
I don't want people misusing my faith for political purposes that actually extort, exploit, and harm people. That's not what Jesus was about. And I think all of us need to remember that diversity, equity, and inclusion are part of God's great design for this earth. Standing for human rights and working against poverty is what my Savior left to us as our call.
Once the speakers had all concluded, the demonstrators marched around the nearby area. They then returned to the federal building to continue the protest until the event's conclusion.